New opening, everyone. Enjoy it. Yeah, right on. Here we go. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is Sci Fi Snob, and this is the Toplofty Lounge. We're in for a smooth show for you today. Oh yeah, baby. In the 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, baby. Yeah, here we go. In 11, 10, 9. Oh yeah, baby. Here we come. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Top Lofty Lounge, episode 55. We're going to be talking about. Oh, wait. I have to wait for that. Conversations for the Elevated. Welcome, fellow snobs. I hope you enjoy that smooth opening. Brand new. Yeah. Home of the $1 million guarantee. Right on. This week on the Top Lofty Lounge, we're going to be talking about Sci Fi Anime. This is a bit of a primer. We're going to go back, and look at, anime, where it came from. And then, maybe in a few weeks or so, we're going to get more deeply into it. We'll see how it goes. But before we do that, let me introduce my co host. He is the Goku to my Sailor Moon. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Yeah. How do you like that smooth opening, Cam? Was that
Yeah, that really
awesome?
helped me get into the right mindset for
All
the Top
right.
Lofty Lounge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We're trying to make it a little smoother. Yeah. So let's say hello to everyone in chat. Oh, wait, there's nobody in the chat
We are in
except
an
you and
echo
me.
chamber, literally.
Oh, no. Oh, well. You know what? People come in. It's it's a slow build. Yeah. So, Cam, how was your week? What were you up to? Busy? Not busy?
Yeah, it was very hectic and painful.
Painful?
Yep.
Hmm.
Didn't get to do anything fun really, and I did a lot of moving of heavy objects this week.
Oh,
Uh,
don't you hate that?
yep, had things delaying me from things I need to get done, and then finish it up by pulling a muscle in my shoulder today.
Oh,
Yeah,
it sucks getting old. I'm always pulling muscles in my
yeah,
back. It's always
yeah.
like, oh, my back. We got no frogs today again because, as I said, I mentioned this last week. I think frogs are. It's not loving time for the frogs anymore. Yeah, they just it's mating season is over. It's all quiet. No more. They got a little bit more this week than or this year. They would spend about, I don't know, 6 weeks instead of the usual 3. I'm not sure why.
Hmm.
Been raining a lot here. Wet all week. Can't cut the grass. Maybe tomorrow finally.
Well, is it
Uh,
mosquito season?
Yeah, but it's never really bad around my place for some reason. I don't. We're lucky. There's a bit of a breeze that comes in off from the um, from the east to the west across the back, and it kind of keeps the bugs down. Like, you expect a lot more mosquitoes, but we've been pretty good these last 10 years or so. But it's been a little drier, so maybe we'll see an increase this year because it's really wet. But it is spring, so um, just coming out of my place. What was it, yesterday, the day before? Um, Going to the main road to start driving, and there's all these where I live. There's like small ponds. I've got 2 ponds, but there's small ponds, bigger ponds all over the place, right? A lake that's not too far. I mean, it's not really a lake, but kind of, we call it a lake, but it's pretty small, nearby and stuff. So anyway, the various waterfowl, geese, ducks, and stuff make their way from place to, from pond to pond around all our neighbors, everything like that. So I'm coming out, and turn out my place, and I have to stop right away. There's an army of geese coming across the road. There was about 8 to 10 adults and all these they're fuzzy little babies who are not they're not tiny, but they're sort of medium sized.
Mhm.
Can't fly yet, and so they're all walking across, stopping traffic. All the neighbors all got to stop. We got to let the geese go by, and they go into my neighbor's place, off into his pond, I assume, or whatever. I'm not sure where they are, but yeah, it's unusual to see that many of them. Usually you see two and then a bunch of babies, but this was like a bunch of adults all around and all these 30 babies in the or so in the middle of them. So yeah, that's the usual around here.
I do have something exciting. I also committed a crime today.
You committed a crime? Oh my.
Yep.
You didn't bomb any foreign countries, did you?
No. I very absentmindedly ran a red light.
Oh, you did?
I feel terrible about.
Really?
Yeah. Luckily, it was a very dead intersection. But
did the man get you?
No, not at all. I got away with it.
Curse the man, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? If I would have gotten caught, I would have owned up to it because I've seen people run red lights and I cannot stand it. It is egregiously bad, and I was just
the man keep you down, Cam.
No,
it's not his.
Would be right.
I
am lawful neutral.
Oh, come on. Laws are used by the powerful to keep the little guys down. They never follow the laws.
But lawfulness is what prevents the man from,
putting you away.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If we're all lawful, then we don't need, the man.
Yeah, but they make those rules to keep you down, man. They don't follow those rules.
Well, that's true.
Shouldn't they be further north? I think you're talking about the geese. No, not really. This is where they hang out. The wife was complaining the other day that there's no babies in our ponds because usually there's a bunch of baby ducks, usually ducks, sometimes geese, but usually ducks. But so she's complaining because we've had them lots of years before. But the truth is that they kind of travel around, eh? Like they'll go, oh, we've been in this pond long enough. Let's go somewhere else. And they go, and then you see them come back. And, one day you'll just be like, oh, look at the pond. There's a whole bunch of ducks, babies there because they walk from place to place and stuff. So, yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, But no, we got they're as far north. We're pretty far north here. We're up at the what are we at, the 58th parallel or something like that? I always forget.
That's up there.
52,
anyway,
something like that. We're pretty far north. All right.
Yeah.
Don't use that to try to find me. Yeah. All right. Neutral good. I always thought I was kind of neutral good too, but Cam, you're lawful neutral. All right. Be careful. All right.
Yeah. So given our failure to draw an audience right now, should we just go home? Should we just call it a night?
Just go home.
Everyone just
How
gets
come nobody
get a good night's sleep?
Nobody wants to talk about anime.
Because everyone's talking about world events.
You think so? Yeah. Everybody's hiding in their bunker. They're afraid.
We could drop some bombs rhetorically.
Yeah. I think we should carry on with the show. The show must go on.
Right.
And we'll we might be losing up. We might be losing money on each one we sell, but we'll make it up with volume, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
That's right. All right. So everybody, let's bring in our special guest, Nathan Brazil. Welcome to the show. One of our watchers,
AKA
one of our loyal viewers.
Yeah, or our loyal imaginary viewers.
Actually, Snob has been just rocketing up in the subscribers lately, though.
No, I have to go. Then why do you have me? That they're going to go down at this point. No,
we'll have to risk it.
Yeah, no. Today we
you heard it here, folks. This is the last time Michael will be on the show.
Yay!
Yeah.
This today Jason over on over on Sci-Fi for Me TV has been talking about trying out new things, and he's also been talking about excuse me, he's also been talking about why why the other IPs are they need to do to be revived, and
Okay,
it's
well, hold on. What do you mean other IPs? You mean?
like Star Trek and Star Wars and
Oh, right.
and those things, and I kind of look at it as like everything's got entertainment value. It's just that um, some people um, uh, for lack of a better word, fixate, or they find what they're gonna like for the rest of their lives. You know, basically because of what's around and who they're talking to, parents or friends or whatever. And one of the ones that um, definitely people my age, since I'm 60, and people in just a little bit younger than me don't get anime. They don't, not so much that they don't like it. They don't even, my suspicion is that they don't even know it. So,
Right.
so
Well,
tonight,
yeah.
I thought maybe we'd give a little bit, I'd give people a little bit of a primer, on the idea of what anime is, um, and a little bit of its history, and start touching on the idea of sci-fi. And this shouldn't take too long. Uh, it, but the idea was to kind of get people acclimated to. And oh, and one other thing: why the hell are my kids watching anime? What the hell is this anime thing that they're watching? I don't get it. So,
Yeah.
for all kinds of viewers, that's what tonight is. That's what me being on tonight's for.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well
And
said. And looks like we actually have a viewer, James, other than just
hey,
ourselves
welcome, James.
in the thing.
Hey,
Welcome,
James.
James.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
James has a chat all to himself, I think, so he can
all right. Well,
Oh,
do whatever he
I will
wants.
be monitoring the chat as Michael is educating us, and
Closely.
just a quick comment. So, we want to we want to dip our toe into anime here a little bit, right?
yeah.
As it relates to sci-fi. So Michael is a bit of an aficionado of anime and entertainment in general, of course, and he's going to help us kind of warm up to it because Snob. When are
Mhm.
we were planning, and we've talked about this a little bit, on doing a sci-fi anime for
As a at
movie
least
night,
as something like a movie night.
right?
We haven't decided, but movie night maybe it would be something like Babylon 5 we're doing, but not that long, of course. Not for the next 5 years like this. Babylon 5 thing's going to go on for. But yeah, but something like that. Probably a movie night to start with. Well, we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes. I mean, we're kind of interested to see how what the we do shows that the audience wants.
Yeah,
So
and
we'll
you
see how the audience
you don't
reacts,
need
and
to
we
be
go from there.
afraid. Anime won't take over your life without your consent.
That's
So
right.
And it's
And
certainly not going to take over this channel because the focus is on sci-fi. It uh basically I'm going to try and hit up Jason. I have some ideas, and maybe if he likes them, I'll actually like put in like a copy segment. Call it Big Eyes Small Mouths, which is going to be one of my definition explanations here.
it's not a bad
it
title.
real quick. Welcome Snuggy Junior or Snugs.
All
Thank you
right,
for
Snugs,
stopping by.
welcome. And don't say that anime won't take over the channel. I mean, if 1,000 anime fans come in and
Yeah, then
hijack everything, we'll be forced to
don't
do what they say, right?
don't forget the $1 million guarantee.
That's right. It's $1 million guarantee.
We
That's
can
right.
be bought.
That's right. That's right. That's
So I
right. Oh,
look at
your mics are reminding me. Let me put that. I should have had that up already. There we go.
so you
Oh, yeah.
so Snug, you only know Gotcha Man. No
No,
problem.
yeah, Snugs. So let's just do a little background. So I am okay. So I am. I think Cam knows more about anime than I do. I'm probably the least knowledgeable about that. Now, to be honest, my daughter, is big into it, and in fact, I try to get her into comic book stuff. She's like, ugh. But she's got a bunch of different manga. She's more into manga than anime,
Yeah.
but she's into manga, and she often has me, bringing up these anime and stuff that this one, that one, and we have been watching off. We haven't watched in a while. Maybe Michael, you know the one. There's a one on they do these. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. They go in the dungeon and they eat stuff. They eat the monsters that they kill.
There's quite a few of those.
There's a few of them. I don't get. I mean, I watch it. It's not bad. It's well done. I enjoy it. I'm like, but I'm always bugging her. I'm like, why would this be a thing? And she's like, well, people like cooking, and it's a mixture of cooking and anime and Dungeons and Dragons, and people love that stuff. I'm like, really? All right, well,
yeah.
I know that cooking is kind of big in Japan and stuff, and there's been a resurgence in boys interested in cooking because of the shows like Iron Chef and stuff like that. That's
there are that kind of stuff. There are in fact we'll get to that if we ever get deeper. So for the people who are here, like I said, think. Here's the first thing to think about. Hold
on. Before we go into it, let's just let Cam do his. Cam do his background a little bit too.
Okay.
We'll just a little bit about so that everyone knows where we are, and you can the viewers can go, hey, I know more than that guy, or I don't even know that. So I watched recently, when I was a kid, we talked about this, Battle of the Planets, G-Force, Star Blazers, that kind of thing. I saw some of those when I was a kid. More recently, as an adult, some of the ones I've seen are more, I've dipped my tone a little bit, like, One Punch Man. What else? Oh, Death Note. I've watched some of Death Note. I don't know. Jump in, Cam, if you want to say some of the ones that you've seen as well.
Well, I'm trying to remember the order here, but I think Speed Racer is probably the first anime that I saw.
You watched? Yeah.
Yeah, but I watched Battle of the Planets, which is kind of a chopped up version of Gatchaman. Big Gatchaman fan as of now. The original. And then there was a space battleship Yamato, or Star Blazers as it was here, which I saw only piecemeal because again, this was many years ago when there was no streaming or even.
That's right. Same here. Rush home from school. Did you miss it? Oh, too late. Oh well.
Right.
Mom, I want to watch TV. No, go study. Damn.
Yeah, and there might have been some other miscellaneous stuff. We had a variety of Japanese entertainment on UHF channels and things back in the day, but it wasn't animated a lot of times. It was live action. But then later, I maybe horribly watched Project Echo, which is a very weird movie. It is sci-fi, I guess, technically, but and then other things like Ninja Scroll was a big one, Vampire Hunter D, and then these are kind of early '90s.
So these are like stuff I don't know anything about.
Yeah,
so
and then
Cam's beating me.
Yeah, and then of course, the more recent things, My Hero Academia, I like. I know a lot of people don't, but I like that. And there's other various modern ones that I.
What's the assassin one? Both my kids are reading that one now. The Family of Assassins.
Oh, Spy Family.
Spy Family.
Yeah, Spy Family's hilarious.
It's a good. That's a good. That's a good premise. I haven't seen any of it. Attack on Titan. I watched some of those. It's a little bit bizarre with the giant humans, and I don't quite get that part, but. I can't think of any others that I've.
So that's the thing that I wanted to start out with, that anime is not as far as scary or unknowable. Nah. How's it go? You have been exposed to it probably at one point or another in your life, even old people like me. Because
the rumors of me being a giant spider are greatly exaggerated. All right. All right, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but it's pretty cold up there. And on the other hand, I've never known you to be truly a cold-blooded person. So the thing that I want, that by our previous little commentary here, is that we've all seen seen anime all this time, but the things are that we only get uh, we only get the pieces, I guess you could say, that 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 sell between the people who make them over in Japan and the people who say, "Yeah, I could see something like that." Now, if I cut it like this, and if I cut it like that, and if I cut it like that, yeah, the kids will love it. And it's like, no, yes, and no. The first thing that I want to just how's it go? I wanted to get the boring stuff out of the way, which is um, when did anime start? For Japanese, it started early 1900s.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, so let me just go over general before we jump in. So what we're going to talk about, Michael's going to talk a little bit about the real quickly the history of anime as he was starting to get into there. Just so you have a little background of anime and manga, where it comes from. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how it's different, and a little bit about so like difference between anime versus North American animation, and go over some of that. And Cam and I will just sort of, as he's going through, we'll just ask questions when we want to clarify. And hey, throw in your questions into the chat too.
Yep.
If you have a question, why is it like that or whatever, and we'll see if we can answer that. All right, let's go ahead, Michael. Start off from the top.
Okay. It there as far as the early history goes, it goes pretty much like U.S. history. It's like for Japanese, what's considered manga started early 1900s when they started to do their own sarcasm, stuff like that. There's experimentation with the idea of film as early as the 1910s. So and then there were.
Hold on, sorry. Just before you go on there, I just want to mention that when I don't know how much people know about Japanese history, but there's a lot going on in 1850s, right? America goes in and opens up Japan,
whether the Japanese liked it or not.
This is where they get the idea of gunboat diplomacy. An American gunboat goes in and says, "Hey, we're going to open up your society. We're going to trade with you and stuff, and if you don't, we're going to blast you." And so during that time, between the 1850s until World War I, World War II, there's a huge change in Japanese society. Huge. They're going, they go from the samurais and swords and bows to being a modern, World War II. They're a modern country able to stand up toe to toe with superpowers of the rest of the world. And that was a choice that they made to do that. And it's one of the biggest changes in a society, that you've seen, the highly going from, feudalism to something highly technical society able to, be on the world stage. So I just wanted to put that in there. Sorry, Michael. Just wanted to put that in there as just so everyone, the context of what's going on. And that's probably why you see manga and that stuff, coming out during that time, because you wouldn't really see people, doing political cartoons and that kind of stuff before that. That wouldn't really happen. But,
right, because it was in effect a king, shogun, whatever. It was a dictatorial society in which it still is it a matter of shared power, or is it a matter of up at the top there's just one person and tells you how is it going to be. But the thing is, they went not only in warfare and meeting with society. The thing is, technological changes were huge. They went from their effectively Iron Age society. Because there were things that they did have advanced technology in, but the thing was that it was controlled. So, but they went from primarily that to being able to beat a naval power, the Russians, with the Russian Navy by 1905, they had battleships that could take out weaker navies effectively. So, um, so by after that, speech became more open, and you ended up having manga, and experimenting with anime just like we did here in the U.S. And then by the time of the 40s, there was they had, of course, their own wartime animation, which is where the earliest sci-fi elements came out. There were two animes. I don't know if I couldn't find them, but they exist somewhere. Something about a giant electronic robot spider or something like that, and something about a genius scientist who goes to New York and then comes back with high tech stuff. And these were done as propaganda. These were done in part as propaganda and part as entertainment during World War II, even as they're getting the hell bombed out of them from the United States. So, cut to after the war. There's all the rebuilding and everything in the 1940s and 50s, and this whole thing of being exposed to the Americans is what brings all the ideas of the fascination. This was something I didn't put in the script. Something about the incredible fascination for American culture, because and this came about very simply. We had a lot of naval personnel in the ports, and the temporary bases and permanent bases that the Americans had built during the occupation of Japan after the war. So the thing is, the people are going, "What's that? What's that?" And they see the stuff, and it's that cross-cultural thing, just like animation is now, and people kind of find it cool. So finally.
So sorry, just while you're doing that, I'm just putting up some Japanese World War II propaganda, which
No
has
problem.
kind of an anime. Look, this is anti-Japanese. That's the opposite.
Yeah, well,
but this is I think this is an early shot here of first anime World War II propaganda film by from the Japanese.
Yeah.
What's this one? Because it looks like a nasty American there.
Could be. Yeah.
But, so just while you're, while you're.
Oh, you found them a lot easier. You found.
Well, these are just pictures, though. This is just.
Yeah, I was concentrating more on. I was concentrating that if you can go up, this is kind of and get that black and white one with the kid saluting or the young soldier saluting.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is where this is kind of where it's a thing about the where the art style how they're different from us, and it'll be amplified but with motion. There's an expression that is called big eyes, small mouths, and it's if Death was here, he could tell you all about the gaming aspects of anime, because in the late 80s, early 90s, and I'm cutting for a moment, there's an expression that came up, might have been taken from earlier than gaming, called Big Eyes, Small Mouths, which is actually the name of a role-playing game where you can play anime characters.
Yeah, I think I would think that's the most recognizable thing about anime, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that I think of first whenever I think of an anime character. Big eyes, small mouth. Pam, I don't know, would you agree? I would think.
Yeah, it's instantly.
That's the first thing I think about.
There's definitely a look, right?
Yeah, this girl is. I mean, that's a very typical, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I.
Oh, we're coming to Japanese World War II.
When I started
propaganda channel. Look at this. Look at all this stuff.
When I started looking at this more than just I'm watching the show, and I actually have to analyze some of this or look into the background. What happens for that is And again, it's one of those. It's kind of one of these scary Bill Burr, slow twitch, long twitch muscle jokes. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's the one when everyone starts walking away from you because they think that you're going to start talking about certain topics that, and the people go, why the big eyes and the small mouths? In part, it's an aesthetic. And I saw at least 2 articles that said something to the fact that there's a cultural difference between how Westerners use facial expressions to determine what the other person's thinking or what the other person's feeling. And I had seen 2 articles on the internet, and it is alleged by the people who were writing it is that in because of the need for consensus in Japanese culture, people tend to control their emotions far more than, well, certainly you guys control your emotions far more than I do. But the idea is that because of the need for consensus, people need to control their emotions more, or at least not not knock around the crowd. Cam, and Snob, you've both seen uh, Shin Godzilla, haven't you?
Yes.
Which one? -1?
No, Shin
No, not
Godzilla.
-1. The new one
Oh,
that took place in the modern day,
no,
and
I haven't seen that one
the
yet.
Japanese one.
I haven't seen it.
Remember? Do you remember all the scenes when all the people are sitting around the table, are sitting around the long table, talking about what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
Does anybody look upset?
No.
Not really, unless. So what happens is that, but it's harder to control emotions. It's harder. The articles allege that it's harder to control emotions around the eyes. So what happens is that, and going along with that saying, eyes are windows to the soul. Um, you could pull more expression, or get the people to pay, get the Japanese people can get themselves more attention in these animes by doing the full expressions in the eyes, because we would look at smiles and frowns and that in our animation, and it's like you could be lying, but the for them, apparently the eyes don't lie as much, because it's harder to control the upper part of your for all people to control the upper portion of their faces.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to point out the scene from Shin Godzilla, because that's something that a lot of people have seen recently. Um, so
I uh,
that
I experienced some of the. I was on a military tour, and I was exposed to some Japanese military, and I saw firsthand the whole emphasis on consensus. Yeah. So,
what service were you in?
I don't want to get too involved with that, but I don't know if I told the story. Anyway, I'll if
Well,
you're
I mean,
interested,
what?
I'll tell it. I'll tell it real quick. So, my counterpart and I were working together,
Mhm.
on a certain thing, and I said to him, "Hey, we should make this change and do this." I don't even remember what it was, but we should make this change. It was fairly minor. It was within our purview to make the change to make things more efficient. I said, "Oh, we should do this," and then I'm like, he's like, oh, "Okay, well, I got to go talk to my guys about it and stuff." And we were both of a high enough rank that there was you know there wasn't too many people. There's only one other person really in his group that could say no, right? So, and I was like, "Really? You got to go talk to them? Like, this is pretty much within our purview. I'm not going to go talk to my boss about it. We're just going to do it and tell him afterwards." It's like, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "Well, I agree with you. I think we should do it, but I have to go and talk and stuff." Right? So I wasn't as culturally aware of this whole consensus thing. So off he goes, and the next day he comes back and he goes, yes, we're going to do it. But he had to go and they had to discuss it, and he had to gain, I guess, consensus. I mean, that's where they're very big on that. And I was
right.
like, we don't need consensus. I'll just do it. I'll tell everybody on my side afterwards, and they'll be like, yeah, whatever.
Taking the initiative. In a sense, I guess it's you doing that means, or him doing that meant, if he went and just did it, that would be like, it wasn't like he's trying to hide anything. It's simply a matter of that he's taking initiative, and it may not be what his superior wants to have done. Have it done that way, because
That's
it's
okay.
not planned. Could be
I
good.
would agree.
Could be bad.
I would agree. The thing is, though, is that first of all, like I said, it was within our purview to make that change within that area, and also, it's the military, right? Which is usually rewards people making decisions about stuff. You don't try to pass the buck around and someone else make the decision. It's your job to make decisions. So I mean, I agree with you. It's just that it's the least consensual, area you would think within Western in any society, right? Where people are paid to go, you're in charge of this and go, you make the decision one way or the other, right? So anyway, but I found it very interesting. I learned a lot about Japanese culture. It's very interesting. But anyway.
So along with that, so one of the things is that's the reason. So we'll take that for now as maybe that's the reason, because as I said, I don't know for sure. I mean, the next thing
for what? Don't we know for sure about
what? I'm sorry. No, it's not. I don't. A commentary I was going to make is from when I was a kid. The the cynical people in my nerd group were, because we didn't have access to see things. We could see the stuff that we got. We could see the stuff in the comic book stores, but they didn't have books on the history of, or the why, or maybe there would be like an art history of the Batman 1937 to whatever, but they didn't really have that many of those kinds of books in the late 70s, early 80s for Japan and why they do things. So we were cynical and we said, no, they just did that. So they just did that so they could sell the animation to more countries.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the intent, but works out that way.
Yeah.
And this is part of a build-up to why translations kind of suck.
Yeah. Sorry. I had a question though. I'm gonna push back. I noticed that in some anime there are, like, you've got sort of the standard character, and then you'll have another character. It's usually a negative, someone who's an evil character, someone who's bad in some way, and it's usually bald old fat men, but they have giant mouths, and they're usually bigger, and they're kind of ugly, bald, or just drawn in a real ugly way, which is kind of very much at odds with the standard anime character that I showed earlier with the
because
the big eyes and why is that?
Because
they trying to say with that?
Bad guys kind of come in two forms. First you've got the loudmouths. The loudmouths are because if things are supposed to be kind of sort of serene and everyone's going about doing their thing and consensus, the loudmouth is the one that's disrupting all the serenity, all the nice, everyone's having it at least a pleasant day, getting their things done. Nobody's causing problems. Yeah, here comes this guy with their jarring voice, screaming around all over the place, trying to tell everyone around them how important they are. And the thing is that you pay attention to the guy if for no other reason, just so he'll shut up and get and or scary. The person's expressing themselves because they are annoyed with you, and if they're above you for some reason or other in terms of either organization or society, if they're above you for whatever reason, the thing is, if they're expressing their displeasure, that means that maybe somebody underneath them caused the problem. So that's kind of like that's one of the what do they call them, stereotypes or cliches or tropes.
Right.
That you've got the loudmouth, but you've also got the good loudmouth, the good guy loudmouth that's like a sidekick of the main guy. You saw that with an example. If any of you watched Robotech, that was like Ben Dixon, the one who gets the one out of the three who are a trio of pilots. He's the loudmouth. It's like, while I'm around, nothing will go wrong. Ha ha ha! He's got his mouth wide open and everything. And of course, he's the one that gets killed.
Right.
The other type of villain trope is not not sneering and laughing, but the sinister looking animal eyes.
Mhm.
If the character's eyes and facial features kind of look like they're like either being a wolf or a dragon and always looking at you with annoyed eyes, they're probably they probably don't like you. So that those are the two cliche varieties of villains, which gets me to the next point about the big reason why anime, or the big reason in appearance why anime is different, or looks different. Anime looks different because for a long time. It still does, but now it looks even nicer. Both American,
Sorry, is this an example of what we're talking about, or is this is
yeah.
not really, is that Sinister Eyes, or is that more of just
No, that was part of that was kind of like you distracted me because of appearance.
Right.
No, I was gonna get to
going back
that.
a little?
Yeah. Here, I gotta pull this thing up myself. There we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, because I wanted to do a little bit of just to get up to the point where science fiction makes a difference. Because we went back and forth from one to the other. So the very first, and then we'll cut back to that. So finally, if you want to look at it one way, the beginning, Steamboat Willie, or the beginning of time. As far as anime goes, as far as anime goes, that for TV, because there were a few movies, but they weren't science fiction related. The first one was in 1961 called Astro Boy, which the American translation was done by NBC. Or excuse me, 1963. Anyways, and it was the translation. It's beloved in Japan. It's like Steamboat Willie. It's like kind of like Mickey Mouse, kind of looking thing. And back then, sci-fi was more like science fantasy. I guess you could say. Sure, you've got robots and things like that, but you also have like magicians doing things in the shows. It's like, where does the magician come from? Where does he get his powers? Who knows? but look at the cute little robot kid, that sort of thing.
Right.
So now we can get back. Oh, I know what I wanted you to do since I didn't have the pictures. Can you look for a picture of the new anime show, the new American anime show, My Adventures with Superman?
Yeah.
There's going to be a few people here who haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen that one myself.
Yeah. For the maybe for James or one other and to torture Cam because it's not really Superman.
I'm used to that by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The,
was.
the even a person, a hero who has no need because they can do everything has to have a consensus. So if you can find this, there's a shot in the opening credits where they have Jimmy and Clark and Lois together, and it's like the image is telling you outright this is the team, and this is where the idea. This is one of the anime is one of the places that the idea of quarterbacking comes from. That what we call quarterbacking.
Right.
Like the Flash and the other TV shows. It's not it's not unusual. It just is a feature of their culture. It's just how they do things. And in that show, Perry White, the editor, uh, he's the one with the big mouth. He's an ally, but the thing is, he's also the comedic relief. That's that because Jimmy keeps causing problems. So another thing that makes anime different. Let me go back up in my script. Not like I memorized this. What am I getting paid for this?
No, you are not.
Yeah, you're getting paid as much as I am.
Yeah, there
As
you
much as I
go.
am.
Yeah. So come on. There we go. Darn mouse. Okay. So yeah. How anime is different is one of the things they do is the technique, the idea of um, motion and what you're going to pay attention to. Um, the U.S. and most other countries because they followed what looked cool coming out of Walt Disney Corporation. Um, they emphasize the ideal in an animated film or TV show or whatever is to make the motion smooth, seamless, and natural looking. So but the flip side is that their cartoon characters look like cartoon characters. So, as part of that, you're getting enthralled, and you're enjoying the spectacle, I guess you could say. But the thing is, you could never imagine, unless you're one of those who's hotter, Betty or Wilma kind of freaks. I'm referring to the Flintstones. Um, uh, you can't imagine yourself being in those situations. Not really. I mean, uh, and the characters don't look realistic. The closest thing that that the U.S. ever did to make characters look realistic on TV shows was Johnny Quest. Um, except for Bandit. Bandit just looks, he looks like a cartoon character, outright cartoon character. At least the other four, in the team look a little bit on the realistic side, and which kind of segues into where the Japanese look, what the Japanese do differently. What the Japanese do differently is um, that they don't care too much about fluid motion. What they care about is for you to take in the scene, what's going on, how do the people feel? That's the big part. How do the people feel? Because every, um, suffers problems, whether in their shows, whether it's just some nowadays modern anime stuff, people having relationship problems, or can they cook such and such, like you were saying. um but what they do is that they like to draw they like to draw vistas to show you what the world that you're in looks like. Um, so it kind of looks like paintings, and all they have to do is just shift the painting across the screen and save money. If you do it with the right if you do it at the right speed, it looks seamless. Then, as far as because they want face and they want consensus, you need to see what the other person's looking at, what they're up to, what are they, not what they're doing, but how do they feel about what's going on. Thus, all the TV shows, the focus on the eyes and the facial expressions. So when you see the characters um, talking, that's the reason why they just look like little slits or like um, half circles or whatever, and they just open and go blah blah blah, whatever their dialogue is. But as they're doing that, they're often the facial expressions around the eyes are what is makes it different. So
Yeah. So
you're compelled to pay attention to the character.
yeah. So take a look. Like just taking a look at this Superman picture here, you can see. Lois has a very classic, big eyes, small chin, female face for an anime character. But yeah, you can see that two of the characters, they basically have a line for a mouth, but there's a lot of expression around the eyebrows, like Lois's eyebrows, stuff like that. You're getting a lot from the eyes. I see that. I didn't really notice that before, but
Yeah.
you
So
can see that now.
yeah, with Clark, with Clark and Lois there, you know what? You can tell they're smiling, but it's not really their mouths that are conveying that conveying it that much. All you need to do is a little bit of a lip curl and a little bit of a lip curl up or down, and you're done. But Jimmy the Fool, who's another
Yeah,
one who's more of a big mouth character. Oh no, he gets to have a big old grin because you're not supposed to take him often. You're not supposed to take him seriously.
right.
Um, an- and another thing is that they don't need to do that much motion. All you need to do is um, because you've already concentrated on the other because you concentrated on the other aspects, you've already been tricked into paying attention to them and not the motion or action that they've performed. um and that's what as far as the motion goes, that's what makes everything all different for them. um
Right.
Now, and here, what are we carrying? We want to see expensive Ralph Bakshi rotoscoping. We want to have uh, ideally, we'd love to have everything be full motion Disney or Warner Brothers, like Who Killed Roger Rabbit, things like that. That would kind of be the ideal, but
Hmm.
that kind of stuff is expensive because in the old days, cell animation, uh, you got to make 20, what is it, 30 frames a second or 24 frames a second or whatever. So that way you get your brain gets the illusion of motion because you're in tune with the speed the film is running. And that's
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah.
So with anime is so much less expensive because they do different kinds of tricks like that.
Is that where the I'm thinking the classic, Sailor Moon or whoever it is, transforming into something, and that's
Mhm.
again, you only have to do it once and you can do it a million times. Is that the sort of the same
Yeah,
money? Is that what I
yeah.
mean?
Well, the idea is the idea in part is to save money. And again, the thing is that it's like you could have. like I said, you could have two people talking, and you use the same stock. Use the same cells over and over and over again. Like Americans do that too, but the difference is that they don't have to draw from as big a stockpile. They didn't have, which means they also saved money by not having to do them in the first place.
Right. Now, what about? I want to ask about. I noticed that most American Western style animation is kind of more cartoon, focused. While like this picture right here of the Superman. I mean, it's not, it's just that the cartoon is much more, human, realistic. There's less, cartoons and more animation that is, like I said, of people.
Yeah, there's the one thing once you get into it that you'll see is that there's times when even in this Lois and Lois and Clark, the sorry, I'm remembering the old TV show. There's also times when, like, if they get frustrated to the point where they have to express themselves and use their mouths, and actually use their mouths, and that they'll go into some weird, like silly looking mode where they're you can't show it in the picture, but it would be like an animation thing where suddenly you have a weird, funny looking version of the same character jumping up and down with either an angry expression or like overjoyed expression.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, way over the top.
Yeah, and then
I don't know if I've seen it in this show, but I've seen it in other animes that I've watched. That seems like right out of Crazy, they're just going crazy.
Yeah. What then the final thing, this is the important part, which is what sucks your children into watching anime. Most anime that's halfway serious have the full idea of a story arc, like what we're seeing when we do Babylon 5. You may have individual episodes that deal with or in D&D they would call it a side trek or a side quest, but most of the episodes will be portions of an overall meta plot. So like for the one that I know the best, Star Blazers, the basic plot is Earth gets screwed up by aliens. In order to fix it, they have to they didn't have faster than light travel, so someone sends them a spaceship and says, come to my planet and I'll give you the cure. So they have to build the first FTL ship ever that humans have ever had, and travel all the way to the Lesser Magellanic Cloud and back. And they have to do it in a year, or else they're all toast. Everyone on Earth will be dead. So every episode contributes to that overall storyline, but each one of individual story will have a highlight of a particular character that you saw overall as part in the large group scenes and stuff like that. Like you find out one guy is actually a quadriplegic and has robot arms, but nobody on the crew knows that. Things like that.
So I'm presently watching Lazarus, and I think on episode, I think they're on episode 9 or 10. I'm not sure, but I think it's a 13 episode run. And what you're saying is very. I'll just quick. I put it up on the Discord, but quick thing about Lazarus. Quick background if anybody doesn't know. This scientist doctor invented a super drug that was like basically it was heroin, but it pain free. Supposed to be good for you, non-habit forming, everything like that.
I saw the description for that. Yeah.
Took over it became the the pain treatment drug, and everyone was taking it. People were taking it just for they didn't have pain, just to make themselves feel better. It became sort of a narcotic that way, but it was, like I said, it wasn't damaging at all. And then 3 years later, he announces that everybody, everyone who's taken this drug is going to die, and you only got
I
3
told
years to
you.
live. You only have 3
Yeah.
years to live, and the first people are going to die in a month because it's been, just 1 month shy of that. And so the story, focuses around these 5 misfits who are then hired by some secret U.S. government agency or somebody, and they're going around trying to find this doctor and hopefully find a cure or an antidote or something like that. So yeah, and each one kind of focuses on one character. Different. All the 4 or 5 characters are very different. They're mostly younger too, but yeah, it's pretty good. I recommend it.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
so the flip side again of how things are different with American stuff is that most American anime shows are truly episodic. You may have had an origin or intro episode where, but going on from there, the characters go through the motions of an adventure, and at the end of the episode, they're no closer, no further than they were in the previous episode. They all either had a fun time, a fun adventure, solved a crisis, whatever.
and that's very typical. That's what you're describing is perfect for Lazarus too. They seem to, they follow they follow some sort of lead. It turns into be a false lead or a dead end or something like that.
Yeah.
In each episode.
Yeah, like the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon in the 80s. Their quest is to go home, and Dungeon Master kind of throughout the whole thing it kind of seems like he's helping them along, but maybe he's just gonna make use of them while they're here. And the thing is that truly there's no significant milestones that they end up going through where they never have to deal with this again. Like they're and kind of like that was done with Battle of the Planets. There is not Gotcha Man, Battle of the Planets. It's kind of like they're going through the thing. They go through the thing. The stupid robot guy talks to get the kiddies involved, and then what happens is you cut back to the action. Well, what you don't know behind the action is that because they cut it out to make room for Seven's Arc 7, is there actually is an ongoing plot involved where defeating a particular monster or an enemy provides some actual benefit. Even if you don't see it, they at least mention it. They bring it up. Well, and the thing is, truly, you'll never see that. You'll never see a villain like that again. And I don't just mean the big bad. The big bad kaiju monster or whatever. And that's what.
Let's stop for 1 second and talk a little bit more about that, because I think so. What you're talking about is Gatchaman was the original Japanese anime, and in the U.S. when it was brought here by Sandy Frank of
Battle of the Planets,
right. It was made into Battle of the Planets after around the time of when Star Wars came out, and they added new portions. You mentioned Seven's Arc 7, which was a R2D2 like robot, right? Who basically narrated the chopped up version of the Gatchaman episodes,
right?
And made it somewhat more kid friendly as well.
Yes, and that's a good point, which will actually segues right into the next part, which is how's it go, Mike? Well, that's my real name. Okay, now you know. If all of this is how's it go? If you love this anime stuff so much, how come all the old stuff I remember watching as a kid sucked? That's called translation. Which leads to the part about the parenting part that I wanted to mention to people about anime, watching it purely in Japanese and especially the old stuff. Um, for a start, the Japan did not effectively have a rating system for TV ever. Um, so there's an article in Wikipedia which shows you the rating systems for different countries or different articles to such. Long ago, for the oldest stuff, they actually had a rating system for films, but they didn't really use. And the thing is, they kind of sort of applied it for television stations, but television stations weren't bound to it. Not like the Motion Picture Association was here in the United States. You know, I'm talking before we had TV ratings here. So what happens is that their ratings were like, you know, general 12, and this represented the age more or less. General 12, 15, 18, and then illegal. and but the thing is, what goes into that rating, or what went into that rating, is what's considered good, bad, tasteful, etc., by Japanese standards, not by our standards. So where this impacts old, old anime, and the worst, in my opinion, the worst one is Gotcha Man and Battle of the Planets. Japanese don't have a big problem with sex compared to the U.S. And so what happened was that for the stuff that was nominally, and the thing is, the TV stations will go, yeah, all right, it's a 12, but they didn't have to. They weren't bound to that, and neither were the animation studios. They just knew that if you showed something that was wrong for the hour, then people would write into the television station, complain to the point that they go, all right, we won't do that. Here, can we have? And then they go back to the studio. Can we have our money back? The usual thing is somebody tried to do that in the United States. You can't get away with that. But it was more societal, not what do you call it? Organized, or what's the word? Yeah, governmental. Yes,
regulation.
Regulated. Yeah.
All right, am I still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I hit the wrong button. So what do? They either cut the content. Fortunately, they kind of ran on the 30-minute or hour schedule, like we do. Not like the BBC, which is like, we'll start this episode at 6:44 or 6:45. We'll start this next thing at 7:20. You know. So they have intentional commercial cuts or commercial interruptions set up, just like American cartoons. So what they did was that with Battle of the Planets, for whatever reason, they always liked flashing around the pink Gotcha Man's panties. You know, she would be flying and she would do like a somersault, and you'd see her underwear, which back in 1970s US is not a good thing for kids. And or an accidental oops, somebody grabbed not in Battle of the Planets, but oops, somebody accidentally grabs a t-shirt, and you end up seeing the outline of a woman's breast, and not necessarily not all the way to not all the way to the important stuff in the middle, but things like that, and those would be shocking to American audiences, especially back then. So what they did is that they'd cut and blood splattering all over the place from what you mean those agents aren't being knocked out by the science team? No, they're being killed by Garrots and what do you call it? And that thing that he throws slashes people's throats and so on and so on. So so what they did is that they cut all the stuff that would not be good according to American ideas, and then they'd fill up the time because there was so little of the action and dialogue left. They'd give us Seven Zark 7 to explain it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why back then that's why a lot of the uh, storylines look so bizarre. I mean, it looks nice, but and like the whole big storyline in Speed Racer about his brother and stuff like that. There's a whole storyline going on with his brother being part of some secret agency that you only get hints at in the English language version. And Speed Racer kills people.
Yeah, there's a lot of gunplay in Speed Racer, and
Yeah.
you know, cars crashing, you know, flying off mountains, and it's pretty violent. Overall,
Might have lost Michael. It sounds like Americans got ripped off.
Well, okay. Well, while we're waiting to see if he comes back in, I'll tell an
Yeah,
anecdote.
you just got. I didn't kick him. He got jumped. All right, there he goes. He's back.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. So and also Trixie was getting a little bit a little bit of that t-shirt pull and stuff like that too. Which of course, Battle of the Planets was 1972 and Battle of the Planets was 1978 based off of a 1972 cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Speed Racer with that came out the year or we started seeing it in 68. And the show was in 67. Yeah, I don't think that would have gone good on Saturday mornings. Your mom turns around, looks at the screen, and suddenly you see somebody's tugging at Trixie's t-shirt and stuff like that. No.
Yeah, as a note though, I think Battle of the Planets was far more modified than Speed Racer was.
Right.
I've seen some of the Speed Racers and their Japanese version recently, and they're fairly close. You know, they cut out maybe a few minutes per episode, whereas and maybe not even that. You know, but with Battle of the Planets, it's really chopped up severely. You know,
Right. So the thing is that's why anyone who was turned off, anyone who might have been turned off because of the it looks dumb, it looks like it's for kids. Yeah, well, those 12-year-old kids in Japan were far more mature than we are, because even now, now the shows have now, and I looked at the modern anime are the ones that actually come and are shown in the U.S. have to get rated. So when I've gone to the anime websites, they have the U.S. ratings in there, and all of their stuff is at least PG-13, or most of the animes are PG-13. So if you're hoping for something halfway cute and halfway, they can watch the TV. Who cares? You might want to rethink that.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's again one of the things. When I started thinking about animation or anime, I was an adult at the time, so it wasn't a big shock or anything to me, but it was kind of a more adult version of animation. The Japanese stuff. So that's a good point. But again, for them, it is a kind of a kid show still.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to mention, you kind of mentioned a little back, is about translation. And currently in our current day, the whole thing with localizers, it's like basically
Yes.
translators. It's a big controversy, right? Because they they bastardize a lot of the Japanese storylines for whatever purpose that they're saying, oh, they're localizing it just to kind of give it a context you would understand, but it's not true. In many cases they're just outright changing it, no different than they did for children in the past. But this isn't for children, this is for adults, an adult anime coming to an adult in the US, and they're chopping it up for their own ideology rather than
it's political rather than I've seen something about that lately, that is it Funimation that does a lot of the and then people have been looking at the the Japanese version versus the American dubbed version, and they're not using the same words, they're changing, and they're actually changing the storyline a little bit by some of the way, by the
more like
words.
More like a lot. Localization, basically translation. But I mean, it's like what was it? Captain America: Winter Soldier. They did localization in that movie. When the Falcon's telling Cap about all the things that he missed when he was asleep. Different when the movie was shown in the theaters in different countries. The notebook that he would pull out, would have important and popular things of culture related to that country. So the thing is, like in the American version, you see Star Trek, you see Star Wars. In the UK version, oh yeah, Doctor Who is on the list, not Star Trek. So is it precise? No. Is it supposed to give you the functionally the idea of what they're doing? Yeah. But the localization that you're talking about, Cam, that ain't it.
Yeah. Cam's speaking about a different localization where they're actually changing the
right. But I mean, the process is the same. I look at it from the technical part. The process is the same, but what they're trying to put in there is what causes the problem. The last thing of how anime is different, and another reason why you do need to pay attention to your kids as a parent, you should pay attention to them. And this is why the evolution of anime has passed the sci-fi era for anime was the 70s, 80s, and early 90s effectively. Now it's just another genre within the whole concept of anime. I mean, there always has been. You've had science fiction cartoons. You've had, like in America, you've had Space Ghost, and you've had your Teletubbies, which is just, or they're not animation, but you get the idea. There were different kinds. In Japan, they besides the ones that are related to action and science fiction, there's also different categories like historical fiction. There's also like just combat ones and stuff. But there's an additional set of categories which you kind of need to pay attention to. Which this is the reason why our concern, and this is my kind of rant or whatever. The topics that they have, some of the topics are important for the Japanese because once they're adults, they're pretty much screwed and have to work, as the stereotype, as they say, the 18, 20 hours a day and only get 4 hours of sleep. Effectively, you can't have any fun time anymore. So all of their animes also have topics about relationships, because it's with that kind of atmosphere and consensus in that, you can't express yourself. You can't explore your own feelings. And you go, well, what do I care about feelings? Well, part of that is there are actual categories about sexual relationships, or sexual dynamics or whatever between different groups of people. So there's ones about, the full range, and you think, oh my God, they're all wokey woke. No, it's not because they're wokey woke. It's because with all the way we keep hearing about our kids, with all the pressures they have in life, you think our kids have it bad? No. So they have different manga and anime basically for straight. It's basically for gay men, gay women, and then there's also for adults. And I don't mean the hentai. It's kind of like Harlequin romances, except a little bit more explicit.
Interesting.
And these are the ones that are sitting in the shelves at Barnes and Noble, as well as the action ones.
Yeah, that's interesting. The way that, how culture informs, what happens.
Yeah,
I never thought of that aspect of it.
And the thing, and that along, for the U.S., that along with that idea of the categorization with the kind of atmosphere or that or culture that is going around, that had been going around elsewhere in the U.S., is what is the reason why I'm not saying don't let your kids do that, because they, as you can see that, well, maybe you can't see with your Gen Zs. You can see it more with your Gen Zs and your oldest Gen Alphas and stuff like that. You can see they're acting normal, and it could be because that is the outlet to explore their own feelings and explore what's going on with themselves. If they can't do it, would be better if they went and explored and had relationships with people outright. But if they're too afraid, this at least establishes this helps them to establish patterns that, and it's because of those things. That's why it's the most popular thing amongst kids now. And when I mean kids, I mean basically anyone under the age of 25.
Yeah. Sorry, Snugs. I don't know if I can help. We could help you out with that. With relationships, we're more of a science fiction channel, not a savior relationship channel.
I know, but the thing is, it is related. It is most definitely related to the idea of sci-fi and horror. You don't want necessarily you don't necessarily want your kid to pick up the old anime. There's an old anime, and it was like the first. It's basically like there's a whole bunch of blood and killing and raping and all this kind of stuff, and it was like for adults. And the thing is, yeah, you don't want your kid accidentally finding an old copy of that. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I think it was supernatural beast monster or something like that from a long time ago. And then there's others. And remember, I also told you that even in the normal anime, things are a little bit more open as far as things go sexually, or relationships, as far as the stuff goes. So, just saying, be aware. And of course, they treat the kids. They treat the readers more like adults, not adults like you're expected to do this, but they treat you more like, we're not going to hold you back from your from the world. The world is like this. So,
Yeah.
So now we can get on to the sci-fi part. No, it's important. It's important. It's important because even in your sci-fi, you're going to see this. Whether it's in the old stuff, whether it's in the old stuff or the newer stuff. That's kind of about it for my explanation of why things are. After that, it's a matter of, let's look at some history. Let's look at some examples.
Yeah. All right. So
and talk about the cool stuff.
Yeah, we'll do that. I think Okay, so that's a good primer. A little bit of the history of anime, and where it's going from. And I think we're gonna have to, we'll go next. The next time we visit this topic, we'll have to go into examples and a little more
Yeah.
of details about them and stuff. We'll have to talk about how we're gonna approach it, but different options. All right.
I hope people were at least informed, or if not entertained.
Yeah. Cam, did you want to add anything about the about anime points, thoughts before we start to sum up here?
No. I mean, we talked about a lot of different things here tonight. Thanks, Michael, for trying to. I know it's a deep dive into a lot of this stuff, and there's a lot of history behind it and everything. But we're just trying to, like I said, just a bit of a primer, because we do want to watch a bit of it. It is part of sci-fi, so at least some of it is traditionally.
Yeah,
and
it's becoming more popular too.
Well,
in
sure.
North America anime.
Well, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
What?
I mean, it's really at a very high point, the last several years. So I don't know if it's going to go higher or just kind of plateau and sustain, or who knows. But I guess that's it. I'm kind of eager to watch more, almost to the point where I'm just willing to go kind of randomly pick one and see where we're at. How I like it.
I have one that's stupid that you would that I'm watching right now. That and I wanted to point out, this is just how insane these people can be when they make anime. There's this one called Niroko. What is it? Crawling with love, and and the basic idea is there's this guy who I haven't gotten to the part to find out what kind of job he has or if he's just a student. But what happens is that he ends up meeting the Cthulhu mythos being Nyarlathotep. And the thing is that the form that Nyarlathotep has chosen is a cute Japanese anime girl.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
And she wants, how's it go? And she's going to she's going to live with him and love him forever. Forever.
Mm.
And it's a comedy. And what happens is that it turns into a style called I'll finish in just a moment. It falls into a style of Japanese anime comedy called harem, where basically you've got this teenage boy who can't reconcile his feelings about any of the women or himself, and he's basically being chased by cute girls. And the thing is, the other people chasing him are Kasuga and Haster.
Wow, they really went to 11 on that concept.
Yes, and what happens is that the thing is that what makes it fun, even more fun, and I put a thing in one of our discords. This show alone is why Call of Cthulhu is the most popular role-playing game in Japan.
Mm.
And because what happens is she's explaining during part of the show. Sometimes they'll have a little snippet where she explains how sanity works, and they'll show the character sheet and different things like that. So, and why are they here on Earth? Because Earth has the best anime on the planet. I mean, in the universe. So they're defending the Earth, so that way. Oh, and he keeps saying, "Why are you lying to me? Why can't you just be yourself?" And she goes, "Do you really want me to be myself?"
Not really.
It's that kind of stuff that makes it so humorous.
James mentions the 3-body problem. I've read all 3 books, and I've seen the Netflix, which is basically the first part of the first book. I could talk about it. That could be a show. Talking about Chinese science fiction. It's very interesting on how it's different. If you've read, I recommend 3-body problem.
That's why the Japanese go to Korea instead of China to get their animation done these days when they don't do it themselves.
Okay, so this is before we end off. There's a if you
Yeah.
go to the Discord, there's a oh, sorry, I wanted to ask Nathan one more question.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do real quick, what your ideas would be for 3 anime, uh, you know, to watch for the channel or for the viewers, real quick.
For sci-fi, sci-fi
yeah,
theme.
for sci-fi,
Right,
sci-fi
for sci-fi.
anime related. Just name the 3 that I'm gonna. I'll give you a hint. I'm gonna go into. I'm gonna ask the Discord to give suggestions too. But yeah, what would
Okay.
you
Well,
suggest?
three best shows. Um, for a start, I would go with Star Blazers, because that has a coherent story. They didn't cut out. If you watch it in English, they didn't cut too much out. Um, the only thing is, now that I've heard the original song, I I'd rather just what do you call it? Watch it with subtitles, which is in general with how I roll with
Yeah,
TV shows.
same here.
And I would
So
recommend that.
space battleship Yamoto.
Yeah, or as it's called, if you're gonna watch it in English, Star Blazers.
All
Oh,
right.
fun fact! Did you know that Star Blazers was made by the same production company that made Romper Room for PBS?
Really?
You know that.
The second one, probably to get you all started, because this will also tie that one also because of history. Woo, wait till you hear the history of that one. The second one would, for science fiction and the mecha age, would be Gundam. The first one is Mobile Suit Gundam. Supposedly, you can pick up and watch any of them, really, because even though it's kind of like a continuous history, like each show is like 10 years later, 20 years later.
Right.
Um, Pretty much you could pick up anyone, but start with the beginning.
I wonder if it was on the Cartoon Network. I wonder if you could get it.
Yeah, I put it. I
Yeah,
wrote some
I
of them
wonder.
with. I wrote some notes on that worksheet. I'll just leave the worksheet on one of the other discords
Sure.
again, so that way you can see the history of, and I'll just call it Mike's ramblings on anime or something.
Sure.
Um, and for a third one, I would go for something a little modern, a little bit more on the modern side, but not necessarily too deep. But there's just so many to choose from, and if I just give you one, yeah, whatever. If I just give you one that it's kind of science fiction. It's this one called Black Butler, and it's more steampunk than anything else. Basic deal for that one is, it's Victorian England. Kid Kids father, what do you call it? Kids mother and father are killed by cultists or something. He's not really sure who. So what he does is he makes a deal with the devil, not the devil, a demon, excuse me. And basically, when his wish is fulfilled, uh, the demon will eat his soul. And what is his wish? To get revenge on all his enemies, the ones that killed his parents. And you find out it's a worldwide conspiracy. So there's a lot of killing and stuff like that. And of course, and it's also a cooking show. Forgot.
Oh, bonus.
Well, they don't actually go through the cooking. In the interludes, they show you excellent dishes, and as part of the episode, they also show you the butler talking about preparing meals based on using these types of ingredients and these types of ingredients and stuff like that.
All right, great. All right, so we're gonna just finish off. I wanted to mention I've been talking about this animated movie that I couldn't remember the name of, where they're in virtual reality and the agent has to go down onto the planet, which is kind of messed up. And I finally found the name of it. It's Expelled from Paradise. So that's
Expelled?
the one. Expelled from Paradise.
And this is Japanese? I will look it up.
Yeah, it's a pretty good TV movie, 2014. I'm pretty sure it's based on a thing, but anyway, the character lives in virtual reality, and it's got to. I can't remember the reason. It's got to go down to Earth. I think it's Earth, whatever the planet, and it's the planet's not in a good shape, but yeah, it's not bad.
Okay.
Fairly recently, Expelled from Paradise. So I finally found the name of it. So if it was a couple weeks ago and I mentioned it and people were wondering, couldn't think of the name. That's what it's called. Yeah. So if you want to go, we'd appreciate it if you go over to the Discord and you want to put in on the Toplofty Lounge your thoughts about which anime we can look at. Michael has mentioned 3. If you think there's a better one or one of those ones, we're interested to hear your thoughts on it. And also on that same channel, there's presently Michael and Gojira are in a big discussion about body horror. So that's not really my thing, but yeah, you guys are getting into it pretty good on body horror. It's kind of interesting. I'm learning a little.
Yeah, kids, you too can be a Cenobite.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Do we, Cam? Is there anything before we end off? Is there anything that you got?
No.
No. Next show, we don't know what we're doing. We're going to be doing. I think we'll let this percolate for a little bit, for a couple weeks before we get a chance for people to put their thoughts in about what we should, what movie or series or whatever we should go look at, and then we might do that as a as a movie night or something like that. And we have, of course, on Wednesday, we have the Babylon 5 retrospective going on. We're going to be here doing that as well, and we're doing episode 2, which is what is the name of episode? Darn it, I can't remember the episode name.
Points of
Revelations.
Yeah, there we go.
Points of Departure was
Right,
episode 1. Revelations. Maybe we'll finally see. Will Garibaldi come out of his coma? Will we finally find out what Delin has changed into? I don't know. You'll have to tune in to find out. Yeah. What's going on?
Will Londo stop drinking?
Never. and please give Sci-Fi Snob a follow on the YouTubes. He really needs it. His self-esteem is so poor.
It is very low.
Yeah.
It's very low.
And don't forget to go visit Jason Hunt over at Sci-Fi for Me TV. He's got this show thing going once in a while.
Yep, 1 p.m. Eastern, mostly daily.
Yeah,
you didn't get a notification.
Once in a while.
Curse you, YouTube.
Well, welcome anyway, Outposter.
Yeah, welcome. You got the end. Yeah. But forget about Jason and think more about me. Me. It's very, very important. It's me. But yeah, we are. We are up to. Oh, hold on a second here. That's right, me. Yeah, we're up to 592 subscribers. We are creeping up slowly. That's, I don't know, a couple in the last couple days, but we only have 8 more days to get to 1,000. Oh, I don't know if we're gonna make it.
All right, 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We're gonna make it, but oh well. Did I forget anything, Cam? I think that's everything.
Definitely not anything forgotten.
Nothing's forgotten. Are you sure?
Positive.
I think I almost forgot the jokes. I'm pretty sure that I almost forgot the jokes. Snuggies, you thought you were already subbed and you weren't subbed? Oh, you have to go remedy that right away. Yeah. So, all right, jokes. Now, I have to say, I'm not an expert at anime, I was looking for various jokes, and I didn't get a lot of them. It's pretty bad. Cam's not supposed to get them.
Tell us whether it's funny.
Yeah, Cam, you're supposed to be the one who's not supposed to get the jokes, and I'm like, what? I don't get this. Is this how? Why is this funny?
You're welcome, Cam.
So yeah. All right, but let's give a couple a try. This one's for me. Well, maybe we should give him to Michael. Maybe
Lordy.
Sure.
Michael, why did the anime character bring a map to an amusement park?
Bring a map to an amusement park?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because they didn't want to get lost in translation. I think that's some sort of reference to translating from Japanese to, I don't know. That's one of the ones I was like, what?
Yeah. All right, that one's worth that one is worth a chuckle. Good play on words.
Really? That was
Yeah.
worth a chuckle?
Yeah. I mean, believe me, I can't control my laughter. That's why you heard the chuckle right from the beginning.
All right. How about this one? What is a Mexican's favorite anime?
Seriously, or seriously, I already know that it's Dragon Ball Z, but
no, it's One Piece.
One Piece? Okay, I don't get it.
Get it? Juan, spelled Juan.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
All right. How many Dragon Ball Z characters does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know. It depends on their power level, I guess. Sorry, not a real life answer.
No, just one, but it will take 6 episodes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I think, yeah.
How dare you?
I think
you?
That's pretty.
That's another way that they're able to make a show last. They're able to make a simpler show last like 60, 80, 100 episodes. It's not because they have 60 or 80 issues of a manga. It's because they take 5 issues and they spread it out over so many episodes.
All right, yeah, and last one. This one's kind of insulting to anime. Well, I guess maybe I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure if this is insulting. What sound does an anime themed ambulance make?
An anime themed what?
Ambulance make. I'll just give it to you.
I don't know.
Wee boo, wee boo, wee boo, wee boo. Right?
Hilarious.
Is that like a weeboo is like an insult? Is it an insult or is it just a?
I think it's an insult. I
think it's
my
it's
my,
kind of they're called weeboos, right? Like some. I think that's an insult.
I know less Japanese than I know German. I actually know a little bit of German because I used to read German sci-fi, but I only know how to count from 10 to 0 backwards in Japanese. That and yeah means no.
Yeah. All right. That's it for the show. Yeah, we'll find out what we're doing next week, and we'll get back to you. And of course, stay in for the Babylon 5. And thanks again for Michael for coming in, giving us this little primer on anime, and hopefully we'll move it into something else. So we'll expand on it from where we are. All right. Thanks everybody. That's it for today's show.
Thanks everyone.
Good night.
Thanks. Good night.